and welcome back to My Brain is a Wonderland, a podcast for neurodivergent women and the people who love them. I hope everyone's doing well today during this holiday season. If you have just celebrated Thanksgiving, again, happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays to everyone out there, no matter what your culture, nationality, or holiday experience is, I hope. Whether you celebrate or not, you are still having a good time as the weather changes and the nights become a little bit darker and it gets a little bit cozier out there. If you've listened to my podcast before, you know that last week I did a little new series called Holiday Schmoliday, which I'm going to do every holiday that I celebrate. And I started with Thanksgiving in the US, which was last week, and just went over some of the strategies that I was planning to use and that maybe you could use to have a more successful feeling holiday. And I wanted to use this episode to do a little Thanksgiving debrief to let you know how that went, and maybe we could share in our experiences of the good and the bad and the uncomfortable. So good news is it mostly went really well, which I expected. Really, when I'm talking about these stressors, I'm mostly not talking about the people I'm going to spend my time with. If they are stressing me out, it's because of a sensory overload issue, something of that nature. It's not because they are annoying, because they are mean, or anything of that nature. My husband's family, that's who I spend most of my holidays with, my in-laws, my sister-in-law, brother-in-law, their family, who is now my family. They are an easy family to integrate with, which I never really experienced before. And that's not just speaking about my own family, but just guests in general. And my husband is this way too. Very welcoming of people into their own home. I'm very open and I'll help anybody on the street who needs it. I'll be the first one if someone, faints on public transportation. I'm there for you. But if you want to come to my house, I'm going to need to know you for, 3 to 5 years. I mean, seriously, coming to my house is a big deal, coming into my personal space. They are not that way. They are loving and open to anyone who wants it or needs it. That being said, because of the things I struggle with, sometimes we'll be showing up for vacations and holidays and there's people there that I have never met, don't know. And of course, that's my issue to deal with. It's not, I can't control that. I don't want to control that. Really, I do feel like more the merrier is better. But overall, I have a super positive experience with them and I encourage all of their openness. It's what I love about my husband. It's one of the things I fell in love with him for. So let's do this Thanksgiving debrief. Let's talk about what went right, what went wrong, what I could do better. Sounds a little bit like a book report or a report from your teacher, right? So what went right for me? Well, and if anyone is listening from my family, this isn't a knock on any of these people because I love them dearly and would love to see them, and did see them later. We went back to family a couple of days later for a birthday party. That's another story. But we were going to we have kind of a nucleus family. My husband has 2 siblings, so once you add in kids, spouses, blah, blah, it can become quite a big thing. And my mother and father-in-law have like 5 or 6 siblings, but they don't all live in the same state. So it can be, it could be 20 people at Thanksgiving, 25, 30. It could be 8 people. Still kind of big for me. I grew up with my holidays being 4 people, max really, 4 to 6, including me. So what ended up happening is that a lot of extended family was invited, and I'd prepared for it. And like I said, I know all these people. If you listen to my previous episode, I know all of them. They're lovely, delightful people. But I hadn't seen a lot of them in a few years, so it's intense feeling that you have to discuss your life. You have to, you're thinking, oh, do I hug this person? I go for hugs with family now. Even though I'm not really a hugger, I discussed that in my Don't Touch Me episode. I go for hugs mostly with family. I want them to feel comfortable. I've realized that in my older age, in my 30s. With family, I don't want them to feel like I'm shunning them. And that is how some people can feel if you don't offer them that hug. And I'm totally comfortable offering hugs. I'm much more comfortable offering hugs than taking them. If you're wondering about that, listen to my Don't Touch Me episode about physical touch, like an episode or two ago. So all of these people were supposed to be there, extended family, and in the end, it ended up being maybe 10 to 15 people. And what actually happened is one of the husbands of a cousin didn't end up coming, and a child from my sister-in-law didn't end up coming. There's dual custody, blah, blah, blah. You don't need to know about that. But two of the people who I thought were coming weren't coming, and I love them dearly, like I said, and love to be with them, but it actually took such a stress off because there were two less people to deal with. And like I say, love them, so it could have been any two, really, of the extended, or just the family in general not being there, because the amount of people is a lot for me. It's really stressful. I don't know if it's because I feel like I have to engage with and manage other personalities. Maybe not manage. Like I said, they're a good group of people. Maybe just engage with. I've got to engage, you've got to go to one person. Oh, what are you doing for work? Oh, next, what are you doing for work? Oh, how are you and your husband? Oh, how's this? And it's just like a lot. So knowing once I got there that there were going to be two less people actually really helped. The other thing that really helped is, and I try to do this all the time for any event I go to, I would rather be early when there's nobody there than walk in with 100 people or even 10 people. I like to be, unfashionably early so that we receive people. So that's what happened at Thanksgiving. We got to my mother-in-law's house before anyone else. It was me, my husband, mother-in-law, and my father-in-law was there. They're divorced, so not a given that they'd be together at the same time. But they were both there. Super comfortable with them. Love them with all my heart. Love them completely. And so that's super comfortable. And we're used to that, going to my husband's family home. We lived there together for 5 years in our 20s. And going there is just normal. So getting there early before everyone else to just chill, take in the moment, that really helped. And then we were able to receive people trickling slowly, right? So it started with one person, a cousin, and then an aunt and uncle, and then maybe a cousin with her daughter, and then like my sister-in-law with her husband and her kids. So it was kind of a slow trickle. And that really helped. So getting there when it's still zen-like, because I don't want the attention of walking in on a whole family either, and then having to hit up everybody, that really freaks me out. That really freaks me out about Christmas coming up too. We have some events we need to go to, and we're not going to be able to stay overnight and be the first ones there, so we're just going to have to walk in once everybody's there, and that's just something I'm going to have to deal with. So those are the two first things that went really well, is that there were a couple of less people there, and we got there early. Also, I found, because it was quite sedate with the amount of kids and family then, I didn't have to remove myself. I spoke about in the Thanksgiving episode, if you need to go to the bathroom and lock yourself in the bathroom. In a big family, no one's going to notice if you're gone for 20 minutes. 10, 20, locked in the bathroom. That's fine. Lock yourself in the bathroom, turn on the tap. I didn't have to do that. I also didn't wear my earplugs, and that went fine. I'm thinking now I might start wearing them to begin with. What happened is I showed up early when no one else was there and thought, oh, I'm fine. And then when everyone else showed up, it actually was fine. But I'm thinking for Christmas, I might just put them in when it seems sedate anyway, because you can't put them in after the fact, at least for me. Once I've hit that threshold that I'm vomiting, sick from the sensory overload, I have to get out of there. But if I put my earplugs in before that happens and ride it out, that's much better. So overall, it was pretty successful, and I had a great time, ate great food. There was one thing, and please reach out to me once listening to this if this is something you go through, because I think it was probably 50% me, 50% them. This is 100% common, and I'm just very sensitive. We're sitting at the dinner table. There's 2 dinner tables because there's like 15 of us, so we couldn't fit everyone. So it's like a huge space, dining room with 2 tables. And I don't know why I clued into this because I completely was engaged with something else, but all of a sudden my right ear just picked up what someone was saying. And I won't say who it was because I don't hold it against them. I'm trying to be more forgiving, be more accepting, be more like go with the flow. And I don't think it was meant meanly. I think this is a combination of generational differences and maybe neuro differences. And so what happened was I got my plate of food. And I think I've spoken about this on previous episodes, but I'm not positive. I eat a lot of food, and I inhale my food. I think maybe I said that in my Schmoliday Thanksgiving episode. I can take 1 plate of food and inhale it in 2 minutes, and it's gone. I just like scoop, and that's my ADHD binging, hyperactive side for sure. If you catch me, like I'm looking for stimulation, and so I'm just eating. So I got a huge plate. That's what I always do, especially on the holidays. And so I'm eating my food, and I've said this in another episode. I think it was on the Thanksgiving one, that I'm almost always the first one to go up for seconds, and that my in-law family had said stuff about that before. Like, you eat so much, you're always the first for seconds. Wow. Less direct, but more like, wow, you must have been hungry. That kind of thing. And I went up for seconds, and I sat back down, and there were people talking about what people were eating. And it sounded like they were kind of jokingly betting on if people could eat their plates, because eyes too big for your belly, right? And I'd just gotten a whole bunch more of mac and cheese, and I was the first person to get seconds. And once I got up, one of the kids got up, and I think it's because he saw it as permission. He was like, okay, an adult got up for seconds, I'm going for it. And I sat back down, and I'm hearing this, and then I hear someone say, who I'm very close to, she used to eat a lot of food, and by the way, that's her second plate. Okay, so immediately, I'm like, they're definitely talking about me. They're definitely talking about me. Sink into a black hole. Emotions done. Go numb. Go mute. Face goes blank. Just very much sink into myself. And it was said comedically. Like, they're like, not like they hate me or judge me. It's like funny. They think it's funny. I don't really want to be laughed at, though, for that kind of stuff, because I'm struggling with that, right? And then there's the other part of me that's going, wait, are they actually talking about me? It was a female who said it. It was a female person who said it about me. And I'm the only other woman at the table. There were 2 tables. All the other women were at the other table. So she said that's her second plate, right? I was the only person other than the male child who'd gone up to get a second plate. So I'm, like 95% sure they're talking about me. Regardless, it sent me spiraling for, probably in my mind, I'm thinking 30 minutes. Maybe it was more like 15. And what happened is I just sunk into myself. My husband was sitting next to me, and I scooped at least half of my food onto my husband's plate because I was so uncomfortable. I'm not sure if it bothered me because A, they pointed it out. B, they pointed it out and it was funny. C, they pointed it out and knew it. Like, I hate that they know that, right? Like, do you have these things about yourself that you have, but you think no one recognizes, right? Like, maybe you always are this way when you talk, some kind of way. And then you think, but no one sees that, and I'm going to work on it in the background. And then you realize everyone knows and is kind of laughing at you behind your back that, oh, she always does that, and it's so silly that she does that. So it sent me spiraling for, some amount of time. But listen to this. The first step to change, and I truly believe this, is recognizing when you are doing something, reacting some kind of way, being some kind of way that you don't want to be. And I recognize that, I've been working on this, I recognize that in the moment that I was sinking because of these comments. And so I started to do self-talk. And in the past, my self-talk would be very negative, right? I would start to spiral, and then my self-talk would be like the devil on my shoulder, spiraling with me, telling me you suck. They're definitely making fun of you. That's, they hate you. They are judging you. They don't really want you here, and they think you're stupid. That would be the past. That would be, maybe a year ago, 6 months ago. I'm not sure. My diagnosis was 2 years ago. I've changed a lot since then. But I really tried to just think, okay, they love you. Definitely. You know that. They love you, the people who said this. They accept you. And I know this because based on their past behavior, I've known these people for 16 years. They accept me and love me. They don't judge me in a way that is ostracizing. They make comments, but they don't actually judge me. They aren't thinking, oh, And they mean it in kind, right? Have you ever done this? And this is the thing, I've done this too. Made fun of people in your family. And I've done it to my sister-in-law. I remember during COVID, and we were all laughing about something she said, and she was clearly upset about us laughing at it. And then you think, oh, well, that's funny that she's upset. It's so silly. If people are upset, take that seriously. You don't need to do much, but you do need to check in and be like, oh, it's not funny that you think this way. It's everyone's individualized, right? And so I tried to think that way. They're not trying to hurt me. They're just observing and think it's funny. That being said, anyone listening, moving forward, who you are isn't funny, right? It's nothing to be made light of or to comment on, to bring attention to other people, right? I was able to pull myself back from it, and maybe a lot of other people are too, but it was just the one thing that just dug me, that just really, I've been working on this, I know it's an issue, but also let me live my life. Does it really matter? Well, here's the thing. Does it really matter if I eat a lot? Because we had leftovers. It wasn't like I ate all the food, right? Everyone could get seconds. Does it really matter if I eat a lot? And why is that funny? Is that a difference thing? I'm thinking that might be a difference thing. That people just naturally point out what is different to them and think it's funny or, disgusting. This is how we go down these scary paths where people say the other is gross, disgusting, do things we don't like. But in your family, when you're separated by, you've grown up in a culture, but now you're adults. My husband's an adult and has gone off into his own world and created his own life and culture with me. Let's not make fun of that. Let's not make light of that. But also, if someone is making fun of you and is making light of who you are, they probably love you. They probably think that they are so close to you that this wouldn't hurt you. Or maybe they're not thinking about it that much, but just don't assume they're trying to hurt you, even though it hurts, okay? Because the only thing you can control is yourself and your own reaction. FYI, I used to hate that, and I still hate that terminology and phrase. Because people are mean sometimes, but even if people are mean, you want to just sit on that? You just want to sit with that they were mean and now you're upset about it? So I chose in the moment, in those 10 to 20 minutes, to just say, no, they love me. They didn't mean that. That's not who I am. And I know it's true. I eat a lot and very quickly and probably, I don't know if it's too much. I don't know. See, these are the things I'm questioning now because they brought this up. But they love me. They want the best for me. They're here with me. They don't mean it the way I'm taking it. That's been really important for me to accept, that people say things that they mean but don't mean it in the way that you take it. So think about that. If someone upset you at your holiday gathering recently, or you're going to a holiday gathering and you're worried about, maybe the auntie or uncle who asked you about gaining weight, or who you're dating or whatever. I want to think the best of people, and I'd like to think they're asking because they care. Maybe they're from a different culture. Maybe they're from a different generation. But the only thing you can change is yourself if you want to change it. No pressure to change it. It's totally up to you. So that was my downer. That was my downer, but also my upper, because I completely flipped it in the moment. And that's what I've been trying to work on. The first step is recognizing that you responded in a way you didn't want to, or felt something you wanted to change. That's the first step. And it can take a long time to get there. I have been working since I was diagnosed 2 years. And in that time, I've been able to recognize my emotions later, after the fact. I'm talking an hour, a day later. And by that point, it's complicated. Are you going to apologize to this person? Are you going to bring it up? Are you going to spiral for days because of this thing and then you recognize what happened? So this is the first time. Gosh, I'm thinking this right now, actually. This is the first time that I've recognized it in the moment and stopped it, reined it in less than an hour. That's success, people. That is success. And even though I'm still thinking about it a bit, that issue, what those people talked about with my food, I'm not actually. It's not running through my head daily, hourly, constantly. What were they thinking? Playing out nuances, playing out what I could have said, what they could have said. It just isn't. And I think that is the key, is the things you don't want to do. And that's up to you. What you want to do or don't do, that's totally up to you. What you don't want to do, you need to start trying to recognize it ever. That's the first step. Recognize it ever. Even if it's 6 months later, that's a step. Then you want to try to start recognizing it sooner. And if you're thinking about recognizing it, you will recognize that behavior sooner. And then once you can recognize it in the moment, change that behavior, rectify what you're thinking, change your approach, maybe apologize to a person right after you do something you didn't want to do, but did anyway. That's the key. And so I just wanted to speak about that because that could have spiraled me down, not to the point that I would have not spoken to these people, but to the point I could have thought about this for months, literally months, about eating and this kind of thing. So I hope that gives you an idea of how to manage some of these holidays and events that can be really high pressure. Manage your own emotions in these situations when you don't want to blow up, when you don't want to melt down, when you want to just live and try to be with your family. Again, if you've listened to my Thanksgiving episode, I'm sorry if you don't have a family that is accepting of these experiences, approaches, and you actually are receiving really negative, mean comments and experiences. There's other stuff out there for you, and you will find that one day if you focus on that. If you decide that isn't what you want, you can move yourself towards what you do want. Either way, I hope everyone here had a fabulous Thanksgiving, has had a fabulous week in this new holiday season, and look out for my episode on Christmas, Holiday Schmoliday, in the next couple of weeks, where I'll be talking about managing a season of a holiday, all the events that come with it, all the gift-giving issues, and just how I'm going to manage that. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.